you don't know me, if you're new, my name is Jenny Gaston, licensed professional counselor, and we talk about all things mental health here, especially surrounding trauma, narcissistic systems, narcissistic individuals, toxic systems, because we all have a little toxicity in us, if we can be honest, right? And so this is a place where you can gain some tools. I like to give journal prompts on how to heal. And today I want to talk about something a little different. Instead of just talking about narcissistic individuals, I want to talk about narcissistic systems, because sometimes it could be a work environment, it can be a family system, and often it can be social media. Yes, Mental Health Saturday. I love that idea. Thank you, thank you. And if you can hear me, place a heart emoji so I know the sound is working. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And so, let me ask you something really quickly. I appreciate the love. Have you ever opened social media just to check one thing? And then somehow, 45 minutes later, you're mad, you're overstimulated, questioning humanity, and need a nap. Okay, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. And I don't want to knock it because, of course, I'm on YouTube. This is a social media platform. Yeah, social media can be an amazing tool, right? A tool. But it can also be something that really affects us in a negative way. So I want to talk about that today. Now, listen, if you survive narcissistic abuse, your nervous system already knows when something feels off, right? And today, I want to talk about why at times social media can feel emotionally abusive. So, taking a different spin here, because in many ways it is. In many ways it is. So, comment below if you ever logged off social media feeling like, I'm angry, I'm drained, and I'm emotionally hijacked. Okay. And today we're going to be talking about what rage bait is. Okay. I know you heard the term. Even my middle schoolers heard it. They're like, Mom, don't try to rage bait me. I was like, what? What's that? I had to do some research. But rage bait is a narcissistic tactic. And unfortunately, social media platform will often use it. Yes, yes. And most importantly, how we can heal and disengage. Because sometimes we have to detach ourselves. Okay. And so, yes, we're going to talk about narcissistic systems, not just narcissistic people. And so, grab your notes, grab your tea, grab your coffee, because we're going to dive right into it. Because some of you, let's be honest, you escaped a toxic relationship, but you're still emotionally manipulated every time you open an app, right? So let's talk about these feelings. All feelings are neutral. We might say some are negative, some are positive, but they're all neutral. They're just smoke signals that something's off. And so we have to pay attention to our feelings, especially when we're on social media, right? Because rage bait is content designed to provoke anger, outrage, disgust, or even shock. And many times it's not informative. It's just because your emotional reaction equals engagement. And that's what social media platforms want. Anger equals more comments, right? Anger equals more shares. Anger, longer watch time, and ching ching, more money. So let's pause for a minute. What does that remind you of? A narcissistic person. Yes, exactly. Narcissists don't care if attention is positive or negative. They care that it's attention. Sound familiar? All right. If you're tracking with me, go ahead and send some likes. Yes, rage bait works because of the same reason. Now, consider this. It activates your flight or fight response. When you're watching something that angers you on social media, it bypasses logic, right? This is where logic takes place, the frontal cortex. So it keeps us emotionally reactive instead of reflective. And when you're trying to go to bed, that's the worst time. Okay? Who's been guilty? I know I'm not the only one. And if you experience narcissistic abuse, your nervous system is already wired for hypervigilance. So this content even hits harder for you. It's even more triggering. So comment, this makes sense if it's clicking already, guys. Okay? And let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, where are you joining me on this live? I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, originally from Brooklyn, New York. All right. And so the bottom line is rage bait is a narcissistic strategy. So let's connect the dots. Narcissistic individuals provoke reactions. Yes. They like to get that, feed off your energy. They move goalposts. So you feel like you can never arrive. Well, you did that, but you can be here. They gaslight and often play victim. Okay, so consider those traits. They also create chaos. And when you think about social media, that chaos is created to keep you emotionally hooked. Now let's zoom out for a minute. Let's zoom out. All right, hopefully you're tracking with me. Social media systems, likewise, like narcissistic individuals, push extreme opinions. Right? It's this versus that. And often they reward conflict. This is why that content goes viral. When you look at that, it suppresses nuances because nothing is ever completely black or white. Let's be honest. And good morning. Thank you for joining me. And so many times social media will also punish calm and balanced thinking. Happy New Year. They boost content that divides. This is not accidental, guys. This is what I mean by narcissistic systems. It's not just in the workplace or family systems. It can be on social media platforms. Okay? So, just to recap a little bit, a narcissistic system extracts emotional energy. And so 1 minute you're feeling happy, joyful, and next thing you're disgusted, a little irritated. It profits off of dysregulation and punish boundaries, right? It rewards reactivity. And I don't know about you, but after a long day of work, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy, and it's the weekend. So just like in narcissistic relationships, remember, you're not sensitive or too sensitive. You're responding normally to something designed to dysregulate you. So drop a comment if you notice how calm content or even good news get buried while chaos goes viral. Right? Now let's get real practical. How does rage bait shows up? I want to give you some practical examples, okay? You will often see women are the problem or men are trash, right? These extreme statements. This generation is doomed. It's like, come on now. Every generation has its issues, right? Extreme hot takes with zero context. This is what we see on social media. Clips get taken out of context on purpose, right? And fake debates designed to divide. This versus that. Red versus blue. And here is the trick, guys. Here is the trick. They don't even need you to agree. They don't. They just need you to argue. Okay? They just need you to argue. And sadly, we are so bold behind our phones, behind our computers, right? A lot of things we say, we wouldn't say to someone's face, right? They want you to argue, they want you to defend, explain yourself, and correct misinformation. Okay. Yes. And so question for you guys. I don't know about you. That's emotional labor. And after a long day of work, who has the energy to be online watching rage bait content? Same thing narcissists do. So if you ever typed a long comment and then thought, I know I'm the only one, why did I even do that? Comment guilty. You're watching something, a video on TikTok or something, and it's clearly rage bait. And you might be wondering, okay, how does this impact me, my mental health? Well, if you're someone who you're healing from toxic systems or narcissistic abuse, this does affect you. Why? Because you're being triggered. Whether you realize it or not, your nervous system needs safety. And so when you watch this kind of content, your body goes into fight or flight. Your brain is like, what's going on? Your body needs regulation. Yes, guilty. I know I'm not the only one. Thank you. And so rage bait does the opposite. Send some hearts if it's clicking. Rage bait does the opposite. It reopens trauma responses. And many times we don't even realize that we're going to bed and we're like, oh, I'm stressed. And we think it's just work. It reinforces hypervigilance. It keeps you emotionally flooded. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to move forward in the new year grounded. And so I'm definitely going to give you some tools, journal prompts. I like to use a notebook, but I also have my phone that I use too. So whatever works for you, you can do an audio journal, you can do voice notes. I always say do what works for you. But just remember, you can't heal an environment that's constantly re-traumatizing you, even if it's a virtual environment, social media. That's like going no contact with a narcissist, but checking their Instagram every day. Make that make sense, okay? So, question for you guys: what emotion does social media triggers the most for you lately? Okay, what emotion? This is my feeling pillow. Does social media triggers the most for you lately? And I don't just want to clock the problem, but I want to talk about healing tools. So grab your notes for a second, your coffee and tea. I'm going to give you some journal prompts, okay? Because that is key. So the first tool is to name the manipulation. Okay, the moment you say, oh, this is rage bait, boom, there you go. You're identifying the problem. It's simple, but it works because in doing that, you're using your voice and you're regaining power. Awareness disrupts the cycle because now you have a choice. Now that you acknowledge it, you have to ask yourself, should I continue watching this? Okay. Now we're going to talk about the second tool, limit entry points. Not everything deserves your energy. Okay, so you want to ask yourself this question. All right. So consider, is this content informative, educational? Is it entertaining? Because, I don't always have to be educational, but is it entertaining? If I'm getting good laughs and giggles here, is it actionable? Is this aligned to who I am becoming? Will this make me feel better? I don't know about you, but yes, attention vampires. Some of this content just sucks all your attention, and then you go to bed feeling worse off. So if it doesn't help you, just scroll. Okay, silence is a boundary, guys. We don't have to watch the foolishness, half of the foolishness online. Okay, now let's talk about time boundaries. Number 3. Instead of saying I'm quitting social media, right? Let's not go cold turkey, because sometimes that could be dramatic and unrealistic. We can try instead 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the middle of the day, and then 20 minutes before bed. Kind of breaking it up, because social media can be a powerful tool. It can connect people. We can learn from it. So it's not, we don't want to paint it as all negative, because it's not, right? You're obviously watching this content on YouTube, so, right? So it's important to, number 4, replace, don't just remove. Now, our brain needs stimulation. This is why TikTok is so addicting. All right, our brain do need stimulation. So instead of doom scrolling, we can go for a walk. We can say, okay, instead of that, I'm going to journal. Okay, I love to journal using cognitive behavioral therapy prompts, which I'll give to you in a few minutes. You can listen to music, okay? Listen, even if you don't have any rhythm, nobody knows, listen to your old school jams, you get into it. Reading, dancing, whatever makes you feel alive. And maybe you can create. If you ever thought, you know what, I want to start a channel, go for it. You don't have to be a professional, just you have a story, share it with someone. Someone can bet, even if one person, go for it. Or you have like a tool or a gift to share. All right. So let's grab your journal, guys. And so I'm going to give you some prompts. Seriously, grab your journal, grab your phone. So number one, what emotions does social media most often pull out of me? Okay, what emotions? Depending on what I'm watching. I like to watch a lot of comedy clips. It just helps me after a long day, right? I try to avoid the news, especially right before bed. It can make me feel really discouraged. Okay, so think about that. How does your body, number two, feel after scrolling versus being offline? Okay, so when you're offline, when you're engaging with family and friends, when you're reading that book, how does your family feel versus scrolling? Number three, what boundaries would protect my peace, not punish me? Right, that's what boundaries are for. We don't want to go extreme. We want to protect your peace. All right. And number four, what parts of myself am I reconnecting with when I scroll less? Okay. What parts of myself? Will this be recorded and available to view later? Absolutely. Yes, it will. And so it's okay if you just join in now. I'm definitely going to save this, and it should be on the channel under live video tabs, live videos. Okay. And so, all right, if you haven't already, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up. That way, YouTube, the algorithm will share this with other people. That would really help me. I appreciate it, guys. And so, comment journal done if you're going to do this later, even if you haven't journaled yet. If you're like, yes, I'm going to journal, comment done. And I always say, don't wait for tomorrow what you can do today. Okay, guys? And remember, healing isn't meant to be done alone. So if this conversation resonates with you, I invite you to join my Facebook support group, No Contact Narc Chronicles, right? Say that 5 times fast. No Contact Narc Chronicles. This is a place where survivors of narcissistic abuse, people healing from emotional manipulation, can come together to find support, right? This is a place to learn, or unlearn rather, toxic systems and rebuild trust. And so definitely we'll put that link in the description, because we heal in communities. A lot of times a lot of damage is done in communities and we isolate ourselves, but we also need communities to heal, because the opposite of a narcissistic system is a healthy community, right? And so I want to leave you with this, guys. I want to leave you with this. If something constantly makes you angry, dysregulated, make you doubt yourself, whether it's social media content, a work environment, people around you, it's conditioning. It's time to isolate yourself and detach, and that can be very hard to do, especially if you're a people pleaser. But remember, healing means choosing peace even when it's uncomfortable, and avoiding chaos when it's profitable and addicting, because social media is addicting. So like this, send me some hearts if you this helped you, give you language to what you've been feeling. Like, why do I feel crazy after being on social media for so long, right? Like my mood just shift. And share with someone who's always mad online. You know that person complaining about the news, but you still watching it, right? And consider, what boundary am I setting with social media this week? All right, this week. And so as promised, I'm going to give you a few more prompts. These are cognitive behavioral therapy prompts, and they're based by research to be effective in helping us to not only regulate our emotions, but manage our mood and identify our triggers. And so the first prompt is number one, what happened? Maybe you think about your day, this happened, that happened, or your week. Or maybe nothing negative happened, but you were triggered. You passed by a landmark. You saw a person. So it could be 1A, what happened, or 1B, what was my trigger. All right. Number two, how do I feel? Going back to the feeling wheel. If you Google the feeling wheel, you'll get this diagram. I would just save the screenshot on your phone because it just gives you more language. Sometimes it's not just I'm feeling happy, sad. It's like, well, I'm feeling guilty, I'm feeling startled. It just helps to increase your vocabulary when it comes to your emotions, because sometimes it's on the tip of your tongue. Okay. Number three, what are my inner thoughts? Okay, what are my inner thoughts? These are cognitive behavioral therapy journal prompts, guys, and so you can always watch the replay to get these prompts. Now, our inner thoughts usually fall in three categories. A, how do I view myself? Are you hard on yourself? Do you struggle with perfectionism? Okay. Question. Do you know what's the difference between a cheesecake and a kid? Oh, hilarious. Okay. All right. Welcome, Cat Hunter. I love the humor. But inner thoughts, so either A, how do I view myself? B, how I view the world. Trauma has a way of making us view the world through gray colored glasses, right? Or do you view the world through rose colored glasses? You're overly optimistic, right? And that can actually lead to issues too, right? So we have to find that middle ground, or see how you think others view you. Do you struggle with people pleasing? That can be a thing. Okay, you don't have to hit all these A, B, and C. These are just examples. And then this is where the mental push-ups come in. You want to ask yourself, number four, is there any evidence to support these thoughts, these inner thoughts? A lot of times our inner thoughts are just based on feelings. It's based on fears and anxiety. And it's not based on practical evidence. When I say evidence that can be used in a court of law. I saw a screenshot. I heard this person say X, Y, and Z. I got an email, a text. We're not talking about gossip here. And then you want to ask yourself the opposite question. Number five, is there any evidence to contradict these thoughts? So we kind of weighing out our feelings and thoughts in a critical way. Like we do in school and work, we could be really great critical thinkers, but when it comes to our own feelings, our own fears, critical thinking out the door, right? Because when you think about it, in order to think critically, we use our frontal cortex. This is where logic takes place. But when you think about your fight or flight response, that usually occurs towards the rear of your brain, and that's usually where we lie when it comes to our feelings. And so it's important to challenge ourselves and get a bird's eye view, kind of like stepping away for a minute. And finally, lastly, what did I learn from this, from using these journal prompts? And so real quick, super quick. So the journal prompts are what happened, or what's my trigger? 2, how do I feel? Number 3, what are my inner thoughts? 4, is there any evidence to support these thoughts? 5, is there any evidence to contradict these thoughts? And 6, what did I learn from journaling? And the beautiful part, if you use these journal prompts 2 or 3 times a week, in about a month or 2, you're going to memorize them. And so when something happens and you're triggered, right, whether it's by workplace stress or somebody who's toxic in your life challenges you, instead of going to your default way of thinking, you're going to say, wait a minute, what just happened? How do I feel? What are my inner thoughts? It's going to come to you. I always tell my clients the power of any tool is how often you use that tool when you don't need it. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. The power of any tool is how often you use that tool when you don't need it, so that when you need to use the tool, it comes to you naturally. Because if you don't practice using it, when you're triggered, you're going to be like, what did that lady tell me to do? What? You're just going to go back to your default way of responding. And so I hope that these journal prompts supported you. If you missed the prompts, you can always rewind and watch the playback. I'm going to try to go live every Saturday morning. We're going to talk about mental health, toxic systems, how to set strong boundaries, trauma, depression. And if you have any video ideas that you'd like for me to discuss, just place it in the comment section. But thank you so much for joining me on this live. And make sure to join me every Saturday. Bring your tea, bring your coffee. And see, it's telling me to go. And bring a friend. Much love. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you next Saturday. All right, take care and Happy New Year.